right, then seeing that it is the hour of 6 p.m. on Monday, December 7th, 2020, I call to order the regular meeting of the Planning Commission of the City of Ceres. Notice that this meeting will be held in accordance with the Executive Order N-2920 issued by California Governor Gavin Newsom on March 17th, 2020, the Ralph M. Brown Act, California Government Code Section 54950 et sec, and the Federal Americans with Disability Act. This meeting will not be physically open to the public. All members of the public may participate and comment via the application Zoom. Meeting information website https://zoom.us/join. Remote public comment is also available for the Planning Commission meeting by emailing ann.montgomery@ci.ceres.ca.us by 6 p.m. on the date of the meeting or via phone application Zoom. At this time, I will recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Tom, if you put the flag up. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Tom. At this time, will the clerk please call the roll?
Yes, Commissioner Del Nero,
Gary, you're on mute.
I am present.
thank you. Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Catchell
Here.
and Chairperson Smith.
Here. Thank you. Are there any conflicts of interest to declare by the commission? Nope, seeing none. We'll move on to citizens' communication to the commission on matters not included on the agenda. While the Planning Commission welcomes and encourages participation in Planning Commission meetings, adopted rules allow no more than 5 minutes for expression of non-agenda items. Matters under the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission and not on the posted agenda may be addressed by the general public. However, California law prohibits the Planning Commission from taking action on any matter which is not on the posted agenda unless it is determined to be an emergency by the Planning Commission. Citizens are entitled to address the Planning Commission on any agenda item, subject to the 5-minute rule. Public comments will now be accepted through Zoom. For those participating through the web, please raise your hand to request to speak using the hand icon located at the bottom right of your screen. If you are participating by phone, please press *9 on your phone. Names will be called in the order the requests are received, and your microphone will be unmuted when it's time for you to speak. Mr. Westbrook, Ms. Montgomery, are there any comments from the public?
I have none at this time.
Yeah, it does not appear that there are any hands raised. Chairperson Smith.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no public comment, then we will move on to the consent item. And I believe we need to split these up. No, yes, we do need to split these up as, do I split? Yeah, I do split them up. Sorry, I don't know why I'm so confused. Let's split these up because Commissioner Johnson was not in attendance for the meeting of November 16th. So at this point, I'll ask for a motion on item 1, clerk's report of close. Actually, man, I'm losing my thing here. Will the clerk please read the consent items?
Yes, I'll be happy to.
Sorry.
Item 1, clerk's report of posting. The agenda for the regular meeting of the Planning Commission of December 7th, 2020 was posted on December 1st, 2020. And item 2A, approval of minutes from the November 16th, 2020 Planning Commission meeting, and Commissioner Johnson was absent that evening.
Thank you. If I'd have just let you go on first, I wouldn't have messed that up. So at this time, I will accept a motion for item 1 on the consent calendar.
I'll move approval of item 1.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Yes, Commissioner Catchell,
Aye.
Commissioner Del Nero,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson, and Chairperson Smith.
Aye. I think you're on mute, Dave. Mute.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. We'll move on now to item 2, approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion that we approve the minutes.
Thank
And I'll
you.
second that.
I have a motion and a second. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Yes, Commissioner Del Nero,
Aye.
Commissioner Catchell,
Aye.
and Commissioner Johnson is abstaining. And then we have Chairperson Smith.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0 with 1 abstention.
Thank you. No items were removed from consent, so we'll move on now to public hearings. Item 3, a development agreement 17-14, second amendment. This item was continued from November 16th, 2020. It's a proposal to consider a second amended development agreement by and between the City of Ceres and Cases Journey, Inc. for an existing cannabis dispensary operation located at 4030 Farm Supply Drive. Mike Reynolds, Cases Journey, Inc. applicant. Do I have a staff report?
Yes, thank you very much. So just to give you some background, in January of 2018, the City Council approved a conditional use permit and a development agreement between the city and Cases Journey, Inc. That would allow for the applicant to operate as a retail dispensary service for cannabis within the existing 4,000 square foot industrial zone building located at 4030 Farm Supply Drive. The development agreement was approved to allow the applicant to operate for a 3-year period, which is set to expire on January 8th of 2021, unless the agreement can be renewed and extended prior to the expiration date. In September of this year, the applicant reached out to staff to discuss a second amendment to the DA, which would update the agreement to reflect the current operations of the business and set terms for a longer term operation. And so the applicant is requesting the adoption of the second amendment to the previously approved development agreement. So what you have is a proposal to extend the terms for a 10-year period in lieu of 3 years. And the public benefit payment structure would also be updated to be more reflective of the current cannabis business market conditions. The development agreement will ultimately still be considered by City Council. There is a resolution for the Planning Commission to consider with the recommendation that the council adopt an ordinance to amend that agreement. Staff is in support of the amendment based on the applicant is still being required to pay the public benefit to the city. It's based upon the revenue generated by the business. Approving the amendment will help maintain a positive fiscal balance for the city, as the amendment will promote the generation of additional sales tax revenues for the city over a 10-year period instead of the previous 3 years. The applicant is willing to work with the city to remain compliant with the conditions of approval for the operation. To date, the applicant has made the required public benefit payments for the existing development agreement in a timely manner. And so it is expected that the applicant will continue to be in substantial compliance in the future with the terms and conditions with the proposed second amendment. Another thing to point out, the applicant has been operating at their current location since January 2018. Planning staff has not received any complaints about the operation. We believe the existing conditions of approval imposed from the existing conditional use permit and the terms with the development agreement would ensure the applicant's business operation will function in a manner that will not be detrimental to the public health and safety for Ceres residents. The applicant is aware of staff's expectations and understands the approval of this amendment can be revoked if the operation is found not to be in compliance with these conditions. That concludes staff's presentation.
Yeah,
Thank you.
One thing to mention here, Chairperson Smith, before you have questions. If you recall, earlier in the fall, there was a development agreement for Patient Care First that was presented to the Planning Commission. Ultimately, the City Council, really the terms of both agreements in terms of the payment structure and the time are the same. So this agreement is extremely similar to the one that was approved for PCF just a short time ago.
Thank you for that clarification. All right, thank you, James. Does anyone on the commission have any questions of staff?
I had only one.
Okay, Commissioner Del Nero.
10 years seems like a long time. And I know we probably don't have any guidance in this area because it's kind of new. So you still feel comfortable with that length of time?
Yes, Commissioner Del Nero, like I indicated, PCF just got a 10-year agreement for theirs. Also, Mike Reynolds, who's involved in Case's Journey, is also involved in Case Manufacturing. And they have a 5-year agreement for their manufacturing facility that was approved earlier in the spring. So we're good with the 10-year. Staff is comfortable with that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there any other questions of staff? Okay, seeing no other questions from the commission of staff, I will now open the public meeting. Tom or Ann, is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on this matter?
I know that Mr. Reynolds is available and has his hand raised. Mr. Reynolds, you have a microphone. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you. You know, it's feels like forever ago that we approved this, and you guys took a blind trust, somewhat blind, and you know, I can't say thank you enough for one, allowing me to have an opportunity to operate within the city limits, and two, to be able to give back to a community that's done a lot for me and my family with my son's illness. But you know, over the last 3 years, I think we've established a lot of the doubts and concerns of an unknown world with cannabis coming into Ceres. And I look at the amount of calls to service. I think we've had 2 calls to services since we've operated. And I think both of those were both false alarms. So it's for us, I think we've been a good community partner. I've enjoyed working with Toby, Tom, Chris Vieira, and the new staff that's coming in, but it's definitely, for me, I think it's been beneficial to show that we could do what we said we were going to do and continue to not impact the city. And it's, I think by being proactive 3 years ago, I think everybody's seen a massive change in the last 3 years with the UN voting to deschedule cannabis just last Thursday, the MORE Act passing in the House. I think there's a lot of change coming, and I credit you guys to being proactive and thinking outside the box, and what was probably out of a lot of our comfort zones 3 years ago. So I appreciate your guys's continued support. And I'm not sure if anybody has, except for Tom and James, but like I said before, whether it's the manufacturing facility or the dispensary, I would love to host and let you guys continue to see what we do in a different light. So open invitation. You don't need to plan anything. We do the same with the sheriff's department, the police department, the fire chief. We're a pretty open book, and would love to host you guys so you guys could see what we're doing and some of the things that we're working on in the future to make Ceres not known for cannabis, but really for development and innovation from a science perspective and different delivery methods. So for me, it's much more than just retail cannabis. It's an opportunity to shed a different light on what we do.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else, Tom, that would like to speak on this?
I don't see any additional hands raised at this time.
Thank you. Well, Mike, I want to say to you, we thank you as well. And we appreciate that you're located here in Ceres and that you're willing to commit for another 10 years. Obviously, there's so much that has developed out of this since 3 years ago, as you mentioned, and so much more that I think we can do together. And in addition to the financial support it brings to the city, being able to have a business that, like yours, that is at the beginning stages of an industry that's clearly growing and changing and adapting, it's exciting. And I appreciate all that you've done to stay here in Ceres and do what you do in terms of providing service and a product to the community that needs it. So thank you again.
Thank you, Lori.
Is there anyone on the commission that'd like to speak on this before I ask for a motion? Bob, you look like you're poised.
No,
to
I was just
speak.
thinking between the two of you, you just made 2 of the best statements I've heard in a long time from both sides of the dais, so to speak. And I just appreciate being part of this.
Thanks, Bob.
Yes, yes. And I will, one other thing I want to say to you, Mike, is that I appreciate the invitation for a tour, but I'm going to have to delay that until at least April.
Understandable.
But in April, I'll come knocking.
Good call.
All right, so we appreciate everybody has asked the question. So I will now at this time ask the commission for a motion on this item. I see Bob putting his glasses on,
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
shuffling
sorry.
papers, so it looks like he's
Fine.
getting ready to make one.
Yeah, I'll make a motion. I'm sorry, I did have to get my glasses on. I recommend that that we approve the project, which requires the following action. One, that we accept the second amendment to the existing development agreement. That's DA 17-14. Except that the second agreement, pardon me, is consistent with CEQA guidelines section 15061B3, review for exemption, and section 15301, existing facilities. And two, recommend the city council adopt an ordinance that amends the development agreement, again, DA 17-14, for the cannabis business between the city of Ceres and Cases Journey Inc., draft PC resolution 20-27.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Nubia, am I taking these separately or can I do them at one time?
Sorry, I was on mute. You can do it all at once.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Will the clerk please call the roll?
As Commissioner Catchell,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Del Nero
Aye.
and Chairperson Smith.
Aye. Thank you
Motion
again.
passes 4-0.
Thank you again, Mike. We appreciate it so much. All right, moving on, new business. There is no new business, no public meetings or unfinished business, no matters initiated by the Planning Commission, which brings us to reports. Anyone on the commission have anything to report? Bob,
No, I don't.
David,
No, ma'am.
Gary?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I have nothing to report as well. City Attorney?
Nothing on my end as well.
Thank you so much. Tom or James?
Yeah, just real quick, Christmas Tree Lane started over the weekend. Much different feel this year because of COVID. So the city was unable to have the parade and the Christmas festival. However, I was up there on Saturday night. There was a lot of cars that navigated through Christmas Tree Lane in addition to many pedestrians that walked along the sidewalk. So it seemed like people had fun. And then just lastly, last Thursday night, the council swore in 3 new members. We actually got a new treasurer, new mayor, Javier Lopez, along with Councilman Cooper Condit and Brett Silvera. So Brett creates a vacancy on the Planning Commission. I'll be asking the city council at their next meeting how they want to fill those vacancies. There's an application process out now, which I believe the applications are due on the 11th. So you will have a new member, at least one for sure, in the upcoming Planning Commission meetings. That's all I had.
Well, thank you so much. Okay, so at this time, unless there's anything else, I'll adjourn the meeting to the next regularly scheduled Planning Commission meeting on Monday, December 21st.
See you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
You
All right,
know,
take
Go
care.
Steelers.
Have a good evening, everybody. Bye-bye.